Thank you for the intro. I'm Max. I have a Mastodon account and I run a blog. It's new, it's not really full, but go with it. We're going to talk about TextKit 2 today, and this is a real no-code guide, so zero code. I mean, not 0, it's like 0.1%, but really low. It's a talk, so we have some theory, we have some practice, and I'll kind of try to draw a conclusion in the end. Who is this talk for? I don't know. It's for me, maybe 5 other people in this room, and the rest can just lean back and enjoy the show. It's weird nerd stuff. Okay, theory. Let's first start by looking at the history, because who knows how old TextKit is? From when? Say a year. No, that's too old. It came out in 1996 with OpenStep 4.0, which was the last major release of the Next Step operating system. And at that time, it was called just the new text system. It didn't really have a name. And only half a year later, Apple bought Next and brought Next more or less to an end. So it went underground for a while. And in 2001 was released as part of macOS 10 as under the name the Cocoa text system. And it served as the base of all text input, all controls, everywhere you type, it's the Cocoa text system. In 2007, the iPhone came out, but we can safely ignore that because the iPhone used WebKit-based text input control. The Cocoa text system wasn't brought over. It was deemed too expensive, according to people I talked to. Only too expensive until Johnny Ive decided we needed thin fonts and nice kerning on iOS 7 during the redesign. When they brought it over, actually, and they rebranded it to TextKit because it sounds more interesting than Cocoa text system. Also, Cocoa is just on the Mac, more or less, so they call it TextKit. And then in 2021, with macOS 12 and iOS 15, they announced TextKit 2. I'm not sure you can see the shade. So on iOS, it's a bit darker because on iOS it wasn't finished. So they brought it out and they announced it, like, you can use it on the Mac. On iOS, it's still a bit wobbly. Don't do that. And it took a year, like 2022, iOS 16, where it was like fully available on iOS as well. So just wait a moment and let's appreciate like this duration, right? So it's 25 years. And it's the same API, right? So I didn't find the original documentation, unfortunately, but the original APIs are still in there, right? All these classes, all these APIs, they're all documented as available since macOS 10.0. It all was there from the very first day. Like, let's say 80%, right? They did some changes, but only minor. Like the whole principle has been around all the time. And I tried to find like a speed comparison between like what would be a Nextcube at that time and what would be like in whatever Mac we had at that time. I don't know. It's safe to assume it's like 1,000 times faster. The devices, probably even the iPhone was 1,000 times faster than the desktop computers we had like 25 years earlier. And so it was about time to like go a step ahead and maybe not just modernize it, but reinvent the wheel, maybe. And when I made this graph, I was like, when did I start using it actually? And then I put this line here, and this is when Ulysses 1.0 came out. The icon says bleeding edge, if you don't understand it. So actually, like, looking at this picture, I was like, we were really early. Launching at that time, it felt like this API has been around forever. I mean, it has almost like 5 years or something, but still, it's like, wow, I've been with this for a while. Okay. So what is TextKit? TextKit is like the thing that I already said, where you put in your text, but it's a whole system. Even in its original introduction, it was called complex, and it is. So it's a complex system of multiple components stuffed together that make up a text input. And Apple calls this MVC. We can debate about that in a moment, but MVC means we have a model, something where things are stored. We have a view, some place where things are drawn, and somewhere in between there's a controller. So you can already see like the model is not that thick, the view is also not that thick, the controller is really thick. This is where the stuff goes on. So the model is called, yellow is TextKit 1, so it's the old TextKit. I'm going to compare both. You're going to see both because, yeah, we'll see. So the original TextKit has an NS text storage, which is like the storage for the text, right? You put the text in the storage. And it has a text view. This is where you view the text, and you have the blinking cursor, and you put in. And in between, there sits like a thing called NS Layout Manager. It's the class that manages the text layout, like where do the lines flow, when do they wrap, where's the selection drawn, and everything. And it uses a thing called NS Text Container, which describes like the box where the text goes, how wide it is, how high can it go, and so on. We don't need to care too much about the details here, because this is a no-code guide. But there's two more things I want to pay attention to. There's a thing called the NS Type Setter and a thing called the NS Glyph Generator. The NS Glyph Generator has actually never been publicly available in iOS, but it doesn't matter too much. Also not the Type Setter, I think. But these are two things that have really important roles in this whole process. Like the Type Setter is the thing that takes your text, like the words you've written, and puts it into lines. So it decides how many characters can go in one line, and then we will need to wrap to the next line. And to do that, it needs to know how big the text is. So the glyph generator, what it does, it takes each character and converts it into a glyph. A glyph, you can imagine like a picture of a character. And this conversion is actually really complex, because multiple characters can be one glyph, one character can be multiple glyphs, and we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. So this is basically the architecture for TextKit 1 like it has been for 25 years. And now comes TextKit 2. It's completely different. Not comparable at all. It has a NX Text Content Manager. It's like a slightly different name. It has an NS Text Layout Manager using an NS Text Container. Okay, like this looks really similar. It has an NS Text Layout Fragment. Okay, that's a new name, I don't know. And here's a real difference. It uses core text internally. So the character to glyph mapping is done by core text, which is a really low-level text engine. I don't know, I have forgotten to look it up when it was introduced, been around a while. And the NS Text Layout Fragment is basically the thing that decides how the text gets put into lines, right? Okay. You might call this actually MVVM, Model View View Controller, because like the Text Layout Manager, this controller, actually has like the view model. It knows where every single glyph is, it knows where to draw, it knows everything. So it's like mostly like a view model. But those two words, I mean, it's really mixed up. And if you look at Apple documentation, they actually put the text container in the model, but that would really mess up the graph, so I left it this way, because it's nicer to look at. So you might be wondering, like, TextKit 2, where's the view? Like, what view do we use in TextKit view? TextKit 2, it's like a model view controller, where's the view? You might have noticed both are using NS Text Container. And it turns out the text container in TextKit 2 is exactly the same as in TextKit 1. There is no difference. It's the same class. And it turns out that NS Text View and UI Text View are also the same for TextKit 2. So you have the same view, you have the same like instruction describing where the text goes, and it docks on to both systems. Now, if you do it that way, if you set up your TextKit 2 system like that, and you use an NS Text View or UI Text View with an NS Text Content Manager, the NS Text View is going to ask a simple question, like, it's going to ask, what's the text storage? And NS Text Content Manager says, I don't know, crash. So it turns out that you can't use NS Text Content Manager, the class that's described as like the thing to use. With NS Text View, you need to use the NS Text Content Storage. It's the same name to me. It's the same class, basically. But what it does, it's also using the NS Text Storage. And now if we rearrange this a bit, you can see like the yellow thing is the old stuff, like it's the TextKit 1, and TextKit 2 is just like the intermediate layer switched out. All right, there's a new layout system, but the back end, the storage, the text that you can write is the same, and the presentation, the interaction is also the same. Not quite, but like good mental model. So what are the benefits? Like, why would we just keep everything and then just swap out the parts? Well, if you look at the WWDC session on this, they say three things mainly. One is they say better international text support. We'll get to that in a second. And actually, in the old system, you have one layout manager, you have one typesetter, you have one glyph generator. And in the new system, you have many text layout fragments. So it's more chunked. It's like put into pieces. You can imagine every text layout fragment being one paragraph. Every single paragraph is its own layout engine. And so you can scroll somewhere, and then only those visible paragraphs get layouted. We get to that in a moment as well. So the second benefit of TextKit 2 is efficient layout. And the third one is kind of, they have a model abstraction to that, so the paragraphs have like both the visual side, is the layout fragment, and the model side is the text element. And Apple has it object-based. So it's a benefit. It's good for programming, but it's not that relevant right now for us. OK. So let's move TextKit 1 aside. Let's just look at the plain, nice TextKit 2 view. There is more. You see gaps, right? So and now I'm going to stress you out a bit. It's fine, you can forget it, right? But I had to show you. So NS Text View actually lives inside an NS scroll view. And something that Apple doesn't want you to know is it's no longer with TextKit 2 the actual view. There's a private content view below. And UI Text View, on the other hand, if you know the documentation, UI Text View itself is a scroll view. And so on iOS, you have two private views nested in the view. Like, we don't need to care about who they are and what they do, but we'll see them in a moment. So I needed to show you that they are there. And then the big thing about TextKit 2 is those content views, like the lowest level, they all manage their own rendering views per paragraph, right? So the text layout fragment is the model. It's like the view model. It knows where every character is, but the actual rendering goes into a separate view. So in TextKit 1, we have one ginormous view that gets all the rendering. In TextKit 2, we have smaller views, many smaller views. And then there's an NS Text viewport layout controller, so for the first time you can actually know what's visible. And there's an NS Text selection navigation, where for the first time you can actually navigate in the text. All right. I hope this looks a bit impressive, because it is really, there's like a dozen more classes, but I don't need to show them, right? So here's one more thing about TextKit 2. It's designed so that you can leave out the view. You can use it as a pure text layout engine. It's not possible, it's kind of possible with the old one, but this one is designed for it. And if you're really, really fancy, you can build your own views. You can do my nice custom text view and have a lot of my nice custom rendering views. I don't recommend doing that at home, but if you're really curious, there is one. There's one. I know one. And Marcin has done this ST text view for his Swift Studio code editor. He's written a custom text view implementation. It's open source on GitHub. That's the URL. Have fun. Right. And then let's go back to this full picture. There's one thing about TextKit 2 that I didn't tell you yet about. And there's a real fun thing. It's a nice trick. I show you. So if you ask the text view, hey, what the NS layout manager? So it's not the NS text layout manager. It's what the NS layout manager. So you ask for the old one. It's going to do alarm, alarm, panic, panic, panic. Okay, we don't need this anymore. Let's throw it away. And let's just reinstall what we previously had for 25 years and reinstantiate all those classes. Let's reconfigure everything in between, and let's get like the old thing, and here you have your NS layout manager. Be happy with it. Yeah, it's called the fallback. It's there. To this day, and we're going to use it now, right? We're gonna have some fun with it. Yes, right. And one last thing, I mean, we're all like modern developers. Who does AppKit, UIKit anymore? We're now doing SwiftUI, right? And if you know, maybe you've heard, I think this year's WWDC, or maybe last year's, introduced a new SwiftUI class called Text Editor. And it's magic. You just write it there, and everything works. And it turns out it's just a view representable of a UI and NS text view that's actually just converting like a nice Swift attributed string into this stuff, and you get all of it without any access to it, right? It's all hidden for you. Okay. Because it's not easy to implement any of that stuff. Okay. So let's take a brief pause. The takeaways so far. What I want you to remember from this part of the presentation is 4 things. Like, we have 2 architecture generations, right? We have the 1 and the 2. They both use the same storage. They both use the same view. And there is a dynamic fallback between the 2 architecture generations, right? So you might ask, what's the difference? Isn't this the same thing? And I shall forgive you. So. Hello, I'm Max. Welcome to my talk, 12 ways to tell TextKit 1 and 2 apart without any coding. I have a Mastodon account and I run a blog. Nice to have you. Right. Okay, here's how we're going to do this. On your left-hand side, I will always have like the TextKit 1 example. On your right-hand side, I'll have the TextKit 2 example. And then we'll go through 12 examples of how to tell the 2 apart. Number 1 is page wrapping. Who knows page wrapping? Who knows one second. Who knows TextEdit, like the TextEdit editing app on Mac that's installed on every Mac since macOS 10.0? It's like, it used to be in the dock, I think. Yeah. Okay, great. Everybody knows it. We're going to use this a lot. And here we start with something slightly depressing. Page wrapping is available in TextKit 1 only for now. It's always for now. So if you have this text, nice text in TextKit open, right? It's like a hello world. And then you go to the form in TextKit, you go to the format and enable the wrap to page setting. What do you get? You get like pages with boxes. I clipped it so it looks it's better to see. But you can see there's like a page and it's wrapped on pages. And this is only available in TextKit 1. So as soon as you open any document in TextKit and in TextEdit, and it opens as TextKit 2, and then you enable wrap to page, and it dynamically falls back to TextKit 1 without telling you, of course. Why shouldn't tell you? So but we can use this, right? And the thing I didn't tell you about TextKit 1, because I had to keep things a bit simpler, is NS Layout Manager, so the old one, actually supported multiple text containers, which each could have its own text view. So that you could have like a chain of text views linked together, and the text views would actually share selection. They have complex mechanisms to like make sure they are all on the same page. And think about pages, right? You have pages, we have multiple boxes and columns, and the text flows from one column to another. Pages doesn't use it, but like as a mental model, yeah, we can talk about pages later. And it's been there since macOS 10.0, but now it's gone. Right. Okay. Number 2, text tables. TextKit 1 only as well. Wow, so many TextKit 1 only things. So if you have this kind of text and you go, it's too fast. No. What happened? In TextEdit, you go to Format, Table. You will get a table. And there you have it, right? Wow, tables in text. It's nice. But actually, this is now a TextKit 1 view, because TextKit 2 doesn't support text tables directly. And it's also Mac only. TextKit 1 doesn't support them on iOS. And there's reasons. So in TextKit 1, it does these tables by having one paragraph per cell, and then having a special layout mode where the paragraphs are not atop of each other, but next to each other. And actually, if you use it, like, it's really weird. Like, just look at the selection. It doesn't, like, you want to select columns and cells and rows, and you want to have nice outlines. So this is not a modern table. And I guess that's why they didn't bring it over. It's also really complex. And in TextKit 2, like I said, in TextKit 2 we have one paragraph, that's one text element, it's one text layout fragment, and at least right now they all sit atop of each other, stacked vertically. I mean, never say never, maybe they change it at some point. And now we have our dynamic fallback, right? That's the two things I'm going to use. In TextEdit, I'm going to show you the difference by using wrap to page or by inserting a table somewhere. And this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to stick with TextEdit most of the time. In code, and this is the one code I have to show you, in the IB, you just ask for the layout manager, and you can see it's a non-optional, right? That's why they're kind of forced to do the fallback, because it's a non-optional property, and if you ask it, they must return one. So that's why they do. And actually, the text layout manager, it's optional. So because if you switch over, you can't get it. You can only go one direction. You can't go the other direction. Right? And I guess, so TextEdit, as soon as you do these kind of things, it asks the layout manager, and that's when it falls back. Okay. Now, let's have something that's better in TextKit 2, right? We had, like, what's better in TextKit 2? And the first thing was improved scripts. Who of you speaks Kannada? Kannada? Not Canada, not a country, Kannada. It's an Indian language. And let's have the word October in Kannada. That's what it looks like. Looks like a regular word, like different script, but looks really, really similar. But if you turn on wrap to page, it's going to look like this. Because this is where it falls apart. TextKit 1 has this like characters to glyph mapping, and the first character becomes part of the first glyph, and then the next character becomes part of the next glyph. But in Kannada, actually, like the 10th character can become part of the first glyph. So it's completely intermixed, wild rearrangement, and you can see like the elements on the right-hand side somewhere being messed up on the left-hand side. So we have this linear mapping, and Cortex actually does it well, but it doesn't give you any glyphs. You don't get any glyph info. Number 4, background wrapping. So you select text and you do a background color. In TextKit 1, it looks like this. In TextKit 2, it looks like this. Like, wow, I select the whole paragraph, I make it red, and it looks like this. There's even, I don't know, can you see? There's a hairline in between. It's not really. Though the background goes to the edge only in TextKit 1. And we're going to focus on backgrounds a bit because it's really fun. Here's a different text, but it's like the view debugger in Xcode of a TextKit 1 view, and you can see it's like one ginormous fat view with all the text in it. It's kind of optimized, so it's tiled. It doesn't render everything as once, but it's like one gigantic view. If you have like 3 Bibles in there, you have like a billion-point height text view. In TextKit 2, on the other hand, you have multiple small views. And here you can see the issue. These views are really optimized, I dare to think. And you can see they don't end at the end of the line. And actually, when a paragraph has no characters, there's not even a view to render to. So there is no room to draw the backgrounds, right? Where should they go? There's no view, no canvas to draw to. Okay, here's a quick one. If you do line spacing, you're actually going to have the spacing between the lines, so the gap, the hairline that we just had, is going to become wider, because TextKit 2, if they don't draw into the border, I guess they don't bother like optimizing it at all. So the background's a first-class feature in TextKit 1, and they're just a simple one. Now, here comes the fun. You have a TextKit 1 view, and you select some text, and it looks like a regular selection. So red is the background, right? And blue is my selection, is my regular selection color. And I do the same on TextKit 2, and it's interesting because the selection goes to the border, right? Something is different about this selection than the other, like the backgrounds. And yeah, this. Can we zoom in? What's that? There's a gap, like the background and gap overlaps, and it's a nice example. You can find even worse ones. Selection definitely is different, right, in TextKit 2. And why does it do this? Sorry. If you go in the view debugger and compare the two, you can see TextKit 1 is still this one ginormous view where everything is right inside, and the selection is rendered in line with the text. And in TextKit 2, it's actually a separate view behind the text. So I guess in TextKit 1, I know selection is just a different background color. It's like a hack, okay? And in TextKit 2, it's like a separate view that probably is not just perfectly aligned. Somebody didn't do their math. Here's my favorite one, actually. So you know there's different fonts, like not all text looks the same. And you know Futura, maybe. It's also an old font. And Futura has an interesting... Yeah, it's an interesting design, and I just have like different text here now, and I'm selecting the F, and then I close the window, reopen it, and it becomes TextKit 2, and we get, ugh, what's that? It's like there's a hole, right? There's no background behind the L. What's happening here? The selection is wild. Okay. So you have to make selection with backgrounds and ligatures to see it, but it's fun. And let's turn our view analysis a little bit more, and so we can see the layers. So like TextKit 1 is really all this flat thing, and TextKit 2, you have selection behind text. All right. Let's think about it. You know, macOS has been around for forever. And there are certain system colors for things. And the macOS text selection color is opaque. It's not transparent. It has no alpha. So whenever you draw a selection, it hides what's behind it. So you can't draw the selection above the text. It needs to be below the text. And the backgrounds you set are usually also opaque, which means if you draw an opaque text background in TextKit 2, the selection would be invisible, would be hidden. And so what we need to do is we need to cut out the background. We need to cut a hole in the background in the rendering, and then we can see through our rendered text to the selection. And I guess this cutout implementation is just not really optimized. We'll get to that in a moment more. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, it's always saying macOS, macOS, macOS. There was a point, what was it? Okay. It's not a problem on iOS, because on iOS, it's just not doing the cutout, right? It's like, if you have a background color on iOS and select text, the selection is invisible. Same composition model, just no gap. And you know what? It just never worked. It was broken from day one. They just didn't bother. Like when they brought TextKit 1 to iOS, they just didn't do it. You have the handles. At least the handles are above, but like the selection is gone. Okay. Okay, let's do some something more positive, right? It's always like TextKit 2 is worse than TextKit 1. TextKit 1 was so great. Where's the up arc? Right. So you've seen those backgrounds are kind of problematic. Maybe you can do something more nicer. Wow, like whoa, like round and really shiny highlights. So you get the highlights by going to in TextEdit. Like it's not in the format bar on top. There's still like the background color button. Like the second one to the left is like there's one the foreground color and the other one is the background color. You can still set background colors and they look shit. But if you go to the format font highlight menu, you can select a highlight color. It used to be in a keynote in I think a year back, like the great new feature about how you can make your text. And then you enable page background and it's gone. Highlights are TextKit 2 feature only, right? Okay. I guess. Was introduced 2 years ago. And now let's look at those highlights because apparently they are really, really special and they render in a different view. So it's a new feature. You don't need to care about compatibility, right? It's not supported on the old stuff. There's no expectations for it. It can work any way we want. And let's optimize this feature for TextKit 2, actually. So it changes the text color, regular. It has a transparent highlight. The color used to draw the highlight is transparent. And it's drawn in a separate view. And so it composes really well with the selection. So the selection shines through the highlight. So we don't need to do any of those cutouts. It's really nice. And we get some fancy drawing. I'm going to show you another one. So here we have it. Here's like 2 highlights, a green one and a red one. And you can see how they merge and with the rounded corners. And it's really, really nice looking, only that it's completely hidden. Right. And you see how it works with the selection. Maybe you call me evil. I don't know. What I am about to do is, this is just a regular text view thing, like just TextKit, like text edit, just some text. And I didn't do it manually, to be honest. I did it like with a program, like generate this sample file. I just have every single character in a different highlight color. Let's scroll. This is live. Like this, I didn't mess it up. That's some fancy drawing going on there, right? I guess they need it for the keynote or something, because it's also in Notes. It's completely hidden now. It's like it's more hidden in the current OS than in the last version. I reported this. Yeah, so if you want to come, I have feedback numbers, right? So somebody from Apple listening. All right. There's another thing. It says TextKit 1 as well. Shit. I want it to be an upbeat talk about how good TextKit 2 is. Right. On Mac, you can like command drag and have multiple selections. If you do this in a TextKit 2 view, you don't get 2 selections. You get just 1. But you can option drag. You know, like the nerds, like vertical selection, multi-column selection. It works in TextKit 1 and TextKit 2. It's just the command drag is gone. I don't know why. And here's a little technical detail. So in TextKit 1, on iOS, on mobile, you have just one single selection range. And on macOS, you have multiple selection ranges because you can just do multiple selections. In TextKit 2, it's actually much more capable. You can have multiple selections, and each selection can consist of multiple ranges. It's like, poof. Wow. That's what the API does. It's mostly unused. They're just using like a single range everywhere. I don't know. Maybe eventually. But this is one of those things that are better in TextKit 1, but also better in TextKit 2, because like theoretically it could be better, but it's not. All right. Remember those views that we had, like the one ginormous view and the other small ones? There's actually some really nice aspects to it. I found a case where it's actually better in TextKit 2. I had to search a bit, but I found one. And that is when you resize redraw during resize. So I have like the same text here. It's like, it looks a bit different, but it's exactly the same thing in TextKit 1 and TextKit 2. And I wrote a little program. It's like a 2-liner. Okay, it's not much. All it does is draw a random color whenever something is drawn. Right? It just fills a random color in the background. And now let's take this view and resize it. And in TextKit 1, we see like it needs to draw everything all the time. The view has a different size. It's just one ginormous thing. Everything needs to be rendered. But in TextKit 2, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, I said that. It just redraws the portions of the text that reflow. The other things don't even get touched, right? They move up and down, but they don't even get redrawn. And that's the thing I was talking about, like 25 years of computer generation. Back in 1996, we had like one graphics buffer where every single application would draw into. And then at some point, we got every single window got its own graphics buffer. And nowadays, we have layer-backed views. If you know, each view is its own buffer on the graphics card. And so it's really efficient to just redraw the parts that you need. So it could be more efficient. And you can see like it's not perfect. There's like a green line on the right-hand side and like other funky lines, so it's a bit more redrawing than I had hoped. I wanted to show you more examples, but there actually was. We want to have it a bit upbeat. Okay. I said 12, right? So we're at 11. Hope I don't run over time. I'm going to go quick. What is it doing? Did it do something? It was a video, sorry. I feel like sometimes this clicker goes multiple steps at once. Okay. So yeah, I have the same text, and I make it more narrow, and then I scroll up, and you see scrolling is nice, as expected. TextKit 1. Oh, there's a jump. Have you seen it? It jumped. It's not so nice, right? But it's okay. I mean, you have a long text, you resize. At the bottom, it's like the most evil case you can do. Okay, I'm evil, I know. And then you scroll up. It's really bad. Because what happens is we have all this text well laid out. Then we reduce the width, which means all the layout is invalid. No line can remain as it was before. We need to rewrap it. Everything is thrown away. It's working really hard to give me like the visible portion. And then I scroll up, which means I'm scrolling into invisible things. Let's do this in TextKit 2 because it's really efficient and has great layout and it's jumping all the time. It's efficient layout, I guess. It's not well done scrolling with efficient layout. Okay. So what happens, like the big difference between the two systems is, in TextKit 1, it always needs like the full layout. It's chunked, it's in parts, but it always needs like a lot of layout to do anything, which means that jumping to certain points in a very long document is really slow because it needs to do a lot of calculations ahead. But scrolling after layout is usually mostly stable because it already has everything calculated. In TextKit 2, on the other hand, it just estimates unknown layout. It just can ignore, like, okay, here's those 3 Bibles ahead of my text, and I don't know how long it is. I just estimate and go there. And then, so jumping is really efficient, right? It doesn't need all this layout. But after relayout, scrolling, like as you come in, as you go up, every single paragraph gets laid out, and then it knows the exact same size, and the scroll view doesn't compensate the jittery. Yeah. We had a talk yesterday, it touched on tables. Bear with me through this last example. And I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch to a different app. This time, we're not using TextEdit. We're using Notes. And you know Notes. Who knows Notes? Who doesn't know Notes? Okay. Some people are asleep. That's fine. And in Notes, you can do tables, right? Always like for a long time, and it's actually nice tables. You can select cells and columns, and you have you don't see it right here, but there's action buttons and everything. It's really nice. That's a fancy table in Notes. And you know what? I know that the tables in Notes are composed of multiple text views. How do I know? You can have multiple autocompletions at the same time in all those text views, right? There must be a text view if there's an autocompletion. I'm not calling this a bug, but it is. Yeah. And actually, I also know that it's kind of like this table view thing lives inside a text view, because you can have autocompletion inside a table and the focus in the text view, right? So it's like, it's complicated. There's many text views involved. Every single cell has its own text view. And if you remember, like TextKit 2, many text views, it's not that nice. Right, so let's do a fun thing. Like, how do we know Notes uses TextKit 2? How do we? Let's type some text. Let's select it. Let's scroll down. I'm typing at this moment, nothing happens. I scroll up, oh, the focus is gone. How did that happen? Well, TextKit 2 has this nice feature where you can have embedded views. And if you scroll, they scroll up, and it's efficient. Think it's efficient, efficient, efficient. It gets recycled. And so it loses the focus. The view gets removed from the hierarchy, and so the first responder, like what has the focus, is gone. But we know Notes is older than TextKit 2. It must have used TextKit 1 at some point. How did they do it that back then, right? I guess they had the same table view. I guess it could scroll out of view, but then they could just not remove it and scroll back into view, and there would still be the focus. Custom, it's a lot of effort, but views could stay. So can we find out when Notes switch from TextKit 1 to TextKit 2? Yes, we can. Thank you for asking. So here's one version. Oh, it's actually playing both at the same time. OK, I'm scrolling down, and now I'm typing. On the right-hand side, you can see it scrolled up, and it wasn't good, but like it kept the focus. And the other one is not. So who guesses which macOS version these videos were taken on? OK. It was 1 year after Apple said everything uses TextKit 2 now. It actually took them a year longer to migrate Notes. So nobody has been using it before, I guess. Right. So that's how we can tell when Notes switched from TextKit 1 to TextKit 2, because in TextKit 1, they just kept the table around. And this is my T-shirt. In my app, we added tables as well. And when we were done, we made this T-shirt. So it's the, if you don't know it, it's a Japanese table flip meme, flipping tables. So here you have it, the ultimate comparison of TextKit 1 and TextKit 2. It's the same backing, it's the same views. There's stuff that's only supported on macOS, so it never was actually in iOS. All those features that are great about TextKit 1, this is all just Mac features. They didn't do them. And it says the TV is going to turn off in 1 minute. Let's ignore it. It's like this, nobody needs it, right? It's like, and if you just look at the nice portions, it's really nice, right? That's party. TextKit 2 is awesome. And there's things that are good about TextKit 2. Okay, I'm almost done. So that's the conclusion now. It supports international text. We have seen the object-based architecture. We have same value semantics, and we have always efficient, lazy layout with all the side effects. It has abstractions for selection and viewport. It's a really great API to work with. It's view-based attachments like the tables. You don't need to do it on your own anymore. Those downsides. You can do your own custom view implementation if you really want to, mustn't. There's things bad about TextKit 2. It's like really inconsistent APIs. It's all unfinished. It's insufficiently documented. It's like I mean, it's the same for TextKit 1, but still, it's like the implementation is like, but like the API design is good. The implementation is the real problem. It's buggy. You can ask me for like 100 feedback numbers. This is a fun one. So there's public protocols, like this is a protocol for component A talking to component B. But there's private functions being called over this protocol that are not documented. If you try to implement it, it just crashes, right? And there's many interfaces in this whole thing that are never called by anyone. Yeah. So to sum it up, TextKit 2 has a lot of unused potential, right? So there is potential. And if you're now on the brink of, should I do TextKit 1, TextKit 2, what should I do? This is what Apple says. Future performance enhancements, updates, improvements will all be focused on the TextKit 2 engine. Thank you very much.